Your friends and family may tell you need balance, but balance equals up. Let's just think about it like this, right? You have 50-50, that's balance. You got 22-78, that's balance. 10-90, that's balance. Balance is just what's comfortable for you, right? A lot of y'all have doctor bills. I have doctor bills. Imagine if you could have got diagnosed once, you could have just took that one test and then had to take all these unneeded tests and racked up that doctor bill. Like, that would have never happened. That's AI. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. How are y'all doing today? Welcome to the Psych Expansion Podcast. I am your host, Gabriel Elijah, the podcast where we discuss and explore the connections between past, present, and future generations. How are y'all doing today? How's your relationship? How's your kid? How's your family? How's work going? How's the business? What's been on your mind lately? How you feeling? I hope all is well. And we about to get straight into it because I have a lot to talk about today. I have quite a bit to talk about. So, I've noticed, and I'm sure you have, it just seems to be a common problem around the world. No matter where you go, who you talk to, the issue with most people is people love to complain without seeking answers. They just love to complain, right? We have the internet, but won't touch it. We have books, but won't read them. We have people, but won't talk to them. We have a brain, but won't use it. We have so many resources to find answers, but people just love to complain and be good with it. Have no urge to go find the answer. Complaining and making excuses, I don't know if it's that it's enjoyable or is it just like a cop out to not have to go seek the answers, right? Like, you make an excuse for something, just it'll save you from having to put forth an effort to find an answer. We have to be more accountable for our actions, y'all, and more responsible with our opportunity to reach our goals. This is an opportunity to reach our goals. We have free will. The theory that I have, the way that I put it together is we have free will to choose between good and evil. The predestined part, we know how it turns out, usually turns out if you go with evil, right? You're making bad decisions. Let's see how life will take you. I have a story, right? And it's very relative. Being that Mother's Day just passed, happy belated Mother's Day to all of y'all. We are grateful for each and every one of y'all. But carrying on, right? You can sometimes tell how a kid is going to turn out based off of a few things. The parents. Start with the parents. The parents, right? You see their morals and their habits, the environment that they're being brought up in, friends that they hang around, and their habits, the things that they are exposed to at an early age before they can cipher between good and bad. That can sometimes, right? I'll say sometimes, because there are exceptions. That can sometimes tell you how a kid will turn out. And a few other things, but hopefully you get the gist. I don't think we put enough emphasis on how much trauma and effect we have on kids before birth, right? The epigenetics being morphed into your unborn kids by your unhealthy habits has to cease, right? We have to stop these unhealthy habits and start building positive, reinforcing it with positive habits, because we don't really think about how DNA works and how DNA makes us who we are. And it runs deep, generation to generation, like way down the line. it runs deep and it's built into us. That's why sometimes we can say you act just like your granddad, but it's crazy because you never seen them. Maybe they passed before they came to birth. Like, it's just built in us. We have to work on our communication skills. We have to learn how to make ourselves more valuable and be able to explain the importance of what it means to be valuable, to gain knowledge and make yourself more valuable. How you will be put into a system if you're not, right? If you just go about life and not really thinking of the future or good morals or making yourself more intelligent, they will put you in the system. And I'm not talking about a jail system, though that is a pathway. I'm just talking about this system where they'll give you a job and have you work there for that job to build this company up to be this super company and pay you the least amount that they can pay you for years on top of years on top of years. Like, you wait a whole year to get $1 and be happy, or $1.25 and be happy. But that's not gonna make or break, because inflation is a thing, right? And if inflation is outpacing the amount of money, the gradual raise that you get, it doesn't matter. You're stuck in that system. So we have to think about things like that. How if you allow them to feed you, you inherently give them the permission to starve you, right? Like, you allow somebody to give you a job, give you a paycheck, and you don't do no background on this company or the type of people that run this company or how they treat their employees or whatnot, and you give a company the permission to feed you, that job is not guaranteed. So you give them permission to starve you. A job has no feelings. It is a thing that does what's best for it. It doesn't care what color you are, whatever. It has no feelings. People at the top get done just as bad as people at the bottom. But we may not see it as often because we're not at those levels. But it happens. They snake each other up there. We have to prioritize our family over entertainment. Time is unpredictably limited. We're not promised today, tomorrow. We're not promised the next 5 seconds. You would like to think and hope and pray that you're blessed with that, but it's not promised. So we have to put more value and prioritize our family time over entertainment, being on the phone, social media. We have to teach real love for family and spouses to our youth. Teach the important things like mindfulness, being considerate, affectionate, having and building great communication skills. If these generational problems continue along with others, it will keep the poverty mindset in a full, rapid 360. If nothing is done and we just continue to neglect and ignore these situations, in which it will get worse, because these algorithms from these systems built have been given to us to make us think certain ways and feed us certain things. And we can only output what we input. So if they're feeding us negative, we're only able to produce a negative feel. A lot of us seeing how ourselves, our friends, or members of society, and how life tends to trend for you if you don't pay attention to these things. Unless you're fortunate, right? You were born into a great family that's just moneyed up. And that's not everybody. That's definitely not me. Definitely wasn't moneyed up. I believe that's why my imagination runs crazy. That's why I have a very creative mind, because growing up we had to think of things to do. We had to think of games to play. We had to think of the dirt bikes and the four-wheelers, like crushing up cans, putting in our tires so it'll sound like a dirt bike. Do yourself a favor and do some self-reflecting. Figure out how you are in your own way. Figure out how you are in your own way and how you are making life bad for you. Make small changes every day. Do things like audit your friend list, eat less unhealthy foods, take vitamins, one less cig a day, and one less trip at the bar a week. You feel me? You don't have to go out and get drunk every weekend, party every weekend, right? Your friends and family may tell you need balance, but balance equals up. Let's just think about it like this, right? You have 50-50, that's balance. You got 22-78, that's balance. 10-90, that's balance. Balance is just what's comfortable for you, right? But we need to prioritize the thing that's important over the thing that may just bring us a dopamine rush or hit. You know what I'm saying? Invest in your health, personal development, at least 30 minutes a day. At least 30 minutes a day. Go get you a gym membership or go work out at the house. Go run in place at the house for 10 minutes. Do some sit-ups. Remember, your life is the sum total of all the decisions you made. You know what I'm saying? Like, your parents did a thing in the beginning to create who you were. You have a choice to start your child out on a good foot. 2 of them. I'll tell you one other way you could do it. This is a very good way that you can start out creating good habits, right? First things first, follow the Psych Expansion Podcast on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, you know what I'm saying? Or wherever you enjoy listening to podcasts. That's one way. That's one good way. You know what I'm saying? I'm going to teach you how to utilize this AI. I'm going to teach you about it. I'm going to teach you the negative things about it, and along with the positive things, the things to look forward to. I invest majority of my time looking at these things because I understand not everybody has the time to or the capacity to learn about these things for the length of time that I learn, like study them. And that's nothing against you. It's just that we all have different interests. But that's what I'm here for, right? But this thing can eliminate tedious tasks within the workplace, within your home. But we need to know about it, right? A lot of y'all say y'all fear AI and don't like it, don't want to use it. But in all reality, you love it. You love AI, to be honest. I'm going to tell you why I know you love it, right? I'm going to give you a few reasons or a few ways that how I know that you love it. Most of everybody has a Android or an iPhone, or so you're familiar with Alexa or Siri or whatever, the Google Assistant, whatever, I don't know the name of it, but those things there make your life easy by setting reminders, answering questions, playing music. Think about if you're working out in the gym and you had to go and get your phone and unlock it, and or go get your phone. You had to go get your phone every time you want to change the song, right? Think about that. That'll be annoying. Y'all like automated customer support. Think about if the place, like, you needed to pay your bill, and if you didn't pay your bill by the end of that day, your lights was going to get turned off, or your water was going to get turned off, or whatever. Like, automated customer service, 24/7 chat support. That's AI, right? You have to the end of the day, all day to pay it. You talk to the AI, can answer your questions. It could book an appointment. It could pay your bill. I personally, honestly hate waiting on the phone for a long period of time to talk to somebody. I love the feature that they added to where it can call you back. You can hang up. It'll say press 1, whatever. We'll give you a call back. So now whenever a person gets off the phone with another customer, it'll automatically connect y'all to. I love that feature because now I can continue doing other things and not have to sit on the phone and wait. Even to recommended systems. So whenever you go on Amazon and there's products that you may, let's just say, for instance, whenever I got started this podcast, I didn't know everything that I needed to get, but being on Amazon, it recommended me things that people who bought this mic would get. It told me that they would get this type of camera or this type of ring light, so I can produce the same quality as these other podcasts. From even Netflix movie suggestion. Netflix movie suggestion, let's just say you had to figure out every movie that was like the movie that you enjoyed the most. And Netflix didn't ever recommend you none of the movies that the rest of the world was enjoying. you had to go find it on by yourself. I don't really watch too many movies, but you see what I'm saying? Y'all love AI. Y'all not really like that fearful of it or hate it that much. But y'all who have autonomous vehicles or things like this signal like that flashes whenever a car is beside you. Healthcare applications. Imagine going to the doctor. A lot of y'all have doctor bills. I have doctor bills. Imagine if you could have got diagnosed once. You could have just took that one test and then had to take all these unneeded tests and racked up that doctor bill. Like, that would have never happened. That's AI. Email filtering. Think about if all that spam. I love that they have spam folders or whatever. They did all that to separate the folders in my email. I love that. I couldn't imagine having all that spam mail mixed in with the emails that I need to read. Social media and its filters. A lot of y'all are familiar with the social media filters, which is my feelings are conflicted with the social media filters just because it makes people think less of themselves and they lose the sense of their natural beauty, especially if a picture that they put a filter on is highly valued within the digital space and it gets a lot of likes. And now you're like, okay, if I do this, then I'm gonna get all these likes and they're more attracted to me looking like this rather than my natural self. But little do you know, that's AI built into that. They know that you click that filter. They know the type of people that like those type of photos with that filter on it. They're feeding them to your page. They're feeding you to that explore page of those people. It's doing all these things that they know, like they're collecting this data and they're using it against you. Whenever you like a picture, whenever you share a picture, even if do this, don't go to a workout page and don't even like anything. Don't share it or anything. Just sit there and look at the picture for about 5 seconds. Go to the next one, look at it about 5 seconds. Look at the next one about 5 seconds. You'll start to see on your timeline photos of people working out. And that may not even be in your interest right now, which it should be, but it may not be. But they even have an algorithm that tells them how long you viewed the picture. And all this stuff is like this, right? It's like a circle, but it has all these different factors. How long you've been looking at the picture? Did you like it? Did you share it? How many other profiles have you watched that has something like that? Like, it just has all these different things that feed, and it's just like building you in a sense. That way it can keep feeding you that information. You should go and watch this movie, which is on Netflix, called The Social Dilemma. But like I said, you love AI. You just don't know it. It has purposes that can be useful and benefit us, but it also has terrifying possibilities. But back to the story about the kids. If this were someone's kid, soon to be your responsibility, inevitably, would you want to know more about it? Wouldn't you want to know more about it? For you all who see a horrific future, wouldn't you as well want to know more about it instead of playing into all these conspiracy theories? At least seeing if those conspiracy theories had truth to them. Again, we can only imagine what we input. So you're hearing all this negative talk. You like this video on Instagram, that algorithm says, oh, they like conspiracy theories because all these other people like that conspiracy theory. We're going to feed her some more. Going to give us some more. Yeah, just got to look into it and figure out what we're working with. But yeah, do your research, watch good things, and listen to people who actually develop and research AI. You can go to the Psych Expansion Podcast on Instagram and follow that page. They teaching some good stuff over there. But how y'all feeling, right? How y'all feeling? We almost done. We almost to the end of this, right? We have, lastly, my favorite segment my favorite segment, which is the AI segment, not for artificial intelligence, but the real African intelligence. Black people researching, developing, using AI for our greater good. And again, for all of you who are listening on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you're enjoying listening to this podcast, we have visuals on YouTube. And for those of you who are watching this on YouTube, you can visit us on any platform that serves podcasts. Got it? Good. Y'all ready? African intelligence. I'm about to spotlight a man named Professor Craig Watkins. Professor S. Craig Watkins. He did a TED Talk called Artificial Intelligence and the Future of Racial Justice. As the adoption of AI infiltrates more high-stakes sectors such as policing, employment, health, and financial lending, how do we build models that address systemic racism? Tell you a little about Professor Watkins. Professor Watkins is the Ernest A. Sharp Centennial Professor at the University of Texas at Austin, the founding director of the Institute for Media Innovations. His research focuses on the impacts of media and database systems on human behavior, with a specific concentration on issues related to systemic racism, right? So he is the author of 6 books, chapters examining the intersection between race, technology, and society. He also focuses on creating fair AI algorithms, but Watkins asks, what constitutes fairness in the context of structural racism, right? This TED Talk was actually pretty good. So some key things that were within that TED Talk, right? How structural racism within systems could affect and is affecting people in its pathway. Researchers have done studies linking credit market and housing that shows discriminatory practices such as mortgage discriminations, high interest rate, and high rejections. This then takes away availability for places people like it puts people in these low income areas. It puts people in places to where the education isn't taught at, I don't want to say a high level, but it's not the best. It takes away the availability for people that doesn't get approved for these home loans because of AI. It takes them away from areas that have, I guess you could say, high level education. It takes away job availability, and it puts people in a more high crime rate area. There was an article from the New York Times called "Another Arrest and Jail Time Due to a Bad Facial Recognition Match," right? Where AI identified this man as the criminal for, I can't remember what he did, but it's in the New York Times. You can look it up online. Again, it's called "Another Arrest and Jail Time Due to a Bad Facial Recognition Match." All of the things we spoke about in the beginning about how to make life better for ourselves and our kids are soon to be determined by AI, right? They're building these systems, whether it comes from hiring or just seeing if a person is qualified to perform a certain task, right? They're giving these jobs to AI. And that's why it's important to be a part of all this technology, right? So back to the social media thing. Reduce the amount of notifications that you get on your phone, please. We don't need to be notified every time someone or something happens on Twitter or Instagram. Work out a time budget for yourself and your kids for social media. Fact check things before you share them, because a lot of conspiracy theories get passed around the internet, and people who aren't in that space tend to believe them because they don't have any prior knowledge about it. They keep feeding you these things based off of the things that you like and share, right? They're playing into your emotions. Be open to following people who disagree with the way that you may think about things. And just think about this. The people in tech, they don't even allow their own kids to use these social media apps, right? They know. Go watch The Social Dilemma. It's on Netflix. But yeah, with all that being said, study it, follow the podcast wherever you enjoy listening to the podcast. With that, I'll leave you this short summary of The Domino Effect by James Clear. It explores how small actions can lead to significant consequences over time. Clear emphasizes the power of compounding habits and behaviors, showcasing how small changes can create a chain reaction of positive transformation. It suggests to embrace the domino effect, inspiring you to make small changes that can ripple into larger success in various aspects of life. I hope that you have enjoyed this episode of the Psych Expansion Podcast. Hasta la próxima vez, familia. Sé excelente.